Hello everyone, welcome to my studio. I'm Kurt Bruegel and I have a passion for drawing. My profile has a link to my website, kurtbruegel.com. Follow me, join me every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern. Invite your friends, ask questions, make comments, and as always, if you like what you see, tap. Hey Chuck, how you doing? Good morning. Nice foggy day here in the Wilmington's, Delaware. I like it. Kind of got that like Stephen King's The Mist feeling to it. So it'll be fun. The drawing I'm working on today for the next 20 minutes is going to be a cover recreation. This is a 1947 original copy of Planet Stories. These were old pulp magazines put out. They started at the turn of the 20th century, actually pre-19. I think it was like 1889 or something. They started doing these little collections of short stories in booklets. And then they migrate into the pulps, which refer to the paper as really crappy, which they fall apart very easily. And as they're getting older, it doesn't help. Comic books come from Planet Stories. Not specifically that. I mean, there are Planet comics, but yeah, it's one of those historical things. As comics being American and these pulps being American, they come through. This story is called The Sword of the Seven Sons. And the cover, I'm doing a recreation of it. So it was by Gardner F. Fox. And Mr. Gardner F. Fox is really known, very, very well known. One of the most prolific of the comic book writers, even creators. Flash, he worked on Flash. He's actually responsible for the multiverse. He came up with the idea of multiverse, Batman's utility belt. But yeah, very prolific writer. A little kind of an unsung hero. But yeah, what I did is this is the second cover recreation for a pulp that I've been working on, as well as the first one was for Gardner F. Fox story called The Warlock of Sharador, which then I took one of his characters. Matter of fact, one of his characters, that's the cover recreation from an old pulp story. Took his story, turned around and digitized the story, redid the illustration inside. He was famous for doing the first sword and sorcery character, Crom the Barbarian, a very Conan clone. So I took this story and that story, this being a sword and planet, with science and changing it to magic, and created a new Crom story called The Warlock of Sharador. So I'm sort of doing the same thing again, though this story as Sword of the Seven Sons is a little more technological. The premise is it's a planet that's kind of died out because it has this thing called the Great Machine that would supply all of it. Thank you. Had all these, it would supply food and medicine and guns and cars and stuff, but it all of a sudden breaks, and nobody knows and hasn't known for a while, and so there has been civil unrest and so on and so on and so forth. So not to give too much away, but the lead character as a hero type is looking for an answer, and so teams up with sort of a Dungeons and Dragons style clan of characters, a wizard, and Lady Archer, and all that kind of stuff. So it's really fun. as translating it into I'm definitely doing a recreation of it in comic book format, as I did with Warlock of Sharador. Translating it into a new Crom story might be a little too challenging for me, so I might have to get somebody else involved. So it's kind of, but it's definitely fun. So yeah, we're for that today. So and this is my sort of third or fourth sitting on this drawing. A lot of just laying in base colors. I did this nice orange and then this ultramarine blue, and now her dress is just this predominant green. So I just wanted to get this going. Yeah, but feeling good about it. I really like what is referred to commonly as Golden Age illustration. Even the comic books and the pulps, but I live in an area where N.C. Wyeth, Howard Pyle, as a matter of fact, yesterday was a really good Howard Pyle and his School of Illustrators in the local newspaper, so, you know, it's always good. But, yeah, I'm very, very, very much into the old. Nothing new really catches my eye because they really don't see the new in it. That being like, oh, you know, I definitely do not like digital coloring. So comic books nowadays have really turned me off because I think they get away with too much in coloring by not serving the characters drawing wise, and even inking. I love inking. I haven't done it in a while, but I have to do one today. So later today I'll be working on a commission inking of one of my characters, Cricket. But yeah, I love the old style, the way composition is. Of course, this gal's taking pretty much the left side. There's a angry fellow over here with a knife, obviously either going at her or what, we don't know. But the really cool part is there's this guy here who's just hacking and slashing at, you know, it's just so old school. This is 1947, so the guy who sat down and did this really had to kind of come up with a nice composition. It did really well. He's got you'll see there's going to be a red dragon on the back of his ripped yellow shirt. But this gal is gassing this guy, or I don't know if it's gassing or I guess maybe foaming. I don't know. But at first glance, you kind of see this gal with this really powerful, flamethrower. That's a great one, Chuck. I did, being white, the color is actually just sort of white. But maybe they just left the orange out of that, so it didn't have too grotesque an imagery. But that's another thing that's really interesting about the pulps and the golden age of comic books is that it's all pre-code. And what that means is nobody was monitoring what they were doing and saying. So I think a lot of people unfortunately dismiss the golden age. They did not hold back. I think it's one of those unfortunate things where people dismiss something because it's old. Oh, that's old. I'm into the new. Well, let me tell you, man, what's going on in new really doesn't hold in comparison, in my opinion, to the old. I mean, it can get unfortunate in some sexism and racism. I will say that out loud. And that is an unfortunate part of our history. But I think for the most part, as really good comic book fun, storytelling wise, and these things, you really just sit down and you breeze through them, but they just absolutely get you in another place, which, good fantasy stories and stuff should get you into. So, all right. Well, with that being said, There's a little bit of green going on over here in the flame throwers. But yeah. One of the critical things I have to say about the time, story-wise, is they are very male-dominated characters. So as you kind of dig into these stories, the archetype of the really square-cut jaw guy who is, ultimately going to save the day and get the girl. It happens, it's not something you can escape. But one of the things I do play around with is digitally with the Word document is changing the male character to a female character, and then rewriting the story just to see how it kind of plays out, and what would a gal do back then, or a woman character in a very masculine dominated situations like war and politics and general adventuring and such. So that's been kind of fun, and I've been thinking of maybe doing that with this story. I have a couple of female characters that could use some more storytelling, some fresh new stories. So, we'll see. But, it can get a little like, all right, yep, here's the big strapping young lad who's going to overcome adversity and come through in the day. So the neat thing I have to say is just a little a plug for this is I changed the happy ending to the story, and it was very easy actually to change the happy ending, because the happy endings are usually just very happy. The bad guy is demolished or succumbed to the good guy. But not to give anything away from the story, the character ends up actually changing. His personality changes from sort of being a reckless youth and to be more of an introspective adult. So it's not like he sits there and does one of those like monologue-y kind of like, oh, I learned my lesson. But he definitely gets new ideas that he has to now adventure forward to, and that's Crom the Barbarian. So I thought that was a really neat thing. I was able to bring through and out of a old classic archetype story of the hero. So yeah, and the story also lends to having this really omnipotent type of villain. So it's not just your straightforward Ming the Merciless or the evil king type of thing. So yeah, the story's really it's got a modern edge to it. If if I can go ahead and plug that for myself, but yeah, it's good fun. So if anybody has any comments or questions, feel free to ask. I'm working with color pencils, Prismacolor pencils. This is a printout of the original drawing on a Strathmore tan-toned paper, which is really fun to work on with color pencils, because when you get into the more lighter colors, they start really popping out. Right now I am just doing a lot of laying down of mid-range colors, sort of your medium range colors, broad shapes, and then I'll start getting into some details. Right, tomorrow I'm going to get this. I'll be showing this off on Saturday at 9 a.m. So the completed one will be there for all to see. One of the reasons I do these recreations is to really get a better understanding of how these were put together compositionally, really getting into the details. So, as I was saying earlier, I think this cover has a great sense of itself. It's able to deal with a lot, the planets and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stars, that type of thing. But it just holds itself so nicely. And so this is visually how an artist can better understand what they see based on something that they like. If you really like it and enjoy it, copy it. Why not? I mean, I'm a big supporter of copying and tracing. Now, it's not to say that if anything I copied or traced was to be called my own and sold as my own. That's not cool. Although you can do what's called a one-off, which is, do a copy of a famous painting, sign it, Rembrandt or Kurt Bruegel after Rembrandt's The Bather, and as long as you denote that it's not a Rembrandt and that you copied it, it'll be cool. But you end up seeing more when you copy something. Just sitting there and oogling over a drawing or a painting, a comic. Oh, wow, I really like that. Man, that's so good. This is where you can really start seeing things for what they really are and how they really work. And as a creative person, two things: you learn and you draw. So you kind of got yourself in a position where you got to draw in order to see it. So. When I got down to this character here in the corner, he has this really neat kind of alien look. His hairdo, absolutely. It seems a bit dated, but it kind of keeps reminding me of like a Star Trek quality to his design as just a character. And of course it's just the back of his head, so it's just like, wow. I mean, this guy definitely looks like a baddie or an adversary from the other side, because the story does have a great big division between two groups of people. So once again, I really have to give props to the artist. The artist's name eludes me. Very famous one. I'll have it for Saturday. Just one cover is able to give you all those elements in the story. So the salesmanship of the story is just absolutely perfect, in my opinion. So. All right, well, that was a nice quick day. I had a bit of the chatty bug in me. So if you have any questions or comments, please make them. We're going to be saying goodbye for today. We'll be returning on Saturday, having completed this drawing, and then starting something new. I might actually just start doing a pencil drawing. But I really want to thank everybody for coming out and checking me out, what I was working on. This will be posted on kurtbruegel.com once it is completed. You can get a link through my profile to kurtbruegel.com. I am Kurt Bruegel. I have a passion for drawing. You've been with me 20 minutes in my studio today. I do this every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays at 9 a.m. So please join me and invite friends. And as always, if you got time today, 20 minutes, let's say, grab a piece of paper and a pencil and do some drawing. So thanks again, everybody, for joining me. Have a great one.